Okay, so we're going to continue today with our topic, which is non-attachment, disattachment. Yes, we are reading sutras, and we are really trying to explore through the sutras what does it mean attachment, and what are the prices and the disadvantages and the suffering that is a consequence of attachment, and what is the state of mind of non-attachment. We already read, I think, 4 sutras. And what we saw, I do a tiny little of a review. I think this maybe we saw also the last time. We saw 2 main channels or ways of reducing attachment. Okay, if you want me to say something in Hebrew, tell me. One of them is we saw in few sutras the disadvantages of attachment. Why attachment is not good for us, and what kind of suffering it brings into our minds. And we saw another way of saying we don't check the mind, what kind of suffering arising from attachment. We check the object that we crave for, and we analyze the object in such a way that this craving mind cannot find it anymore. Like we're going to dissolve it in such a way that the craving mind that is accustomed to go for the fanciest telephone suddenly will not see the fantasy or the deluded aspect in that, and then there is no attraction for this deluded mind. So we saw a few sutras for each side. On the first one was the sutra for the mayor. You remember? He's a very practical, grounded person. He doesn't believe in rebirth or past life or future lives. And Buddha told him, I'm going to discuss suffering with you just on the basis of this life. Because he came to the Buddha with the question, what causes my suffering? And the Buddha asked him, if you see some people from your town suffering, do you suffer as well? And he said, it depends. If I have attachment for them, then I suffer. If I don't have attachment for them, I don't suffer. And then we discussed that attachment is what we call the closed enemy for love, which means is an obstacle that sometimes is so mixed with love that sometimes we are not even aware of it. Because the distant enemy is like an obstacle, an obstruction. So the distant enemy, bless you, is anger. And it's very clear for us that anger and love don't go together. But attachment is the close enemy because many times it is so mixed with love that we are not even aware that there is an obstacle there. And we said attachment is an obstacle for love because it narrows our capacity of love. Instead of having an open heart for everyone, we keep an open heart full of love only to the ones we have attachment for, only the ones that are dear to us. And other categories of sentient being, it can be a stranger or an enemy, my heart is not open then. And when we want to cultivate our mind, we want an open heart for everyone, then attachment closes it for some of the people. And this is what we saw when we discussed the first sutra. The second sutra, we discussed 5 analogies on attachment that each one demonstrated an aspect of suffering within attachment. Do you remember there were 5 analogies? For example, the first one was a dog, a very hungry dog standing next to the butcher, and the butcher throws away a bone. But the bone is totally clean from the meat. There is no meat over there. But the dog is so hungry that he's really craving for the bone, thinking that if he will eat it, he will satisfy his hunger. But he finds nothing out of being upset and tired and annoyed because there is no meat. And so he cannot satisfy his fantasy or his wish. So there is this aspect that you project something that you think that it's going to fulfill something you want, but it will never meet reality. There was another analogy that there is even danger in attachment. And he gave 2 analogies, one of a bird that takes some meat in the beak and flies away, and all the other birds are attacking her, wants to take the meat from her, that she really needs to let go of the meat, otherwise they will attack her. So it's like risking her. And another one that one goes with a torch, and suddenly the direction of the wind is changing, and the fire goes against the one that carries the torch and can burn him, implying that how far can we go for fulfilling our desires, our fantasies, as if attachment can really harm us. There was the aspect of delusion, that somebody dreams about beautiful garden and beautiful lotuses and beautiful ponds, but when he wakes up, there is nothing there. So there are like 5 analogies. Each one is with a very strong, vivid example that's supposed to make us more aware when attachment arises in our minds, which aspect does it take, and we can identify it maybe easier and counteract it if we want. These 2 were the disadvantages of attachment. We saw another one, I put a little kochavit, that it's not really reflecting about the disadvantages of suffering, but about putting the seeds of wisdom, of connecting to reality more, and then you have peace of mind when you don't have attachment. And you remember we read the 5 reflections that I'm going to grow old. There is no way I can escape it. I'm going to be sick. There's no way of escaping it. I'm going to die. There's no way of escaping it. I'm going to lose everything that is dear to me and close to me. And every person is the carrier of his own actions. He stands on the ground of his own actions. He's going to be נולד מתוך מעשיו, יורש את מעשיו, ועומד על הקרקע של מעשיו. It's about karma, the fact that we, regardless of me, if he was harming me or not, I just look at the continuum of the person. And I can see that if he did something, he will create the consequences and he will bear the consequences of his actions. Okay? So these were the 3 sutras that we were reading about trying to understand attachment better. And then we went to the other side and we did the sutra that is dealing with the living being or a sentient being or a person. And this Buddha showed a case of children playing in the sand, building castles from the sand. And as long as they have attachment, they really like what they did and they have some possessiveness and they really play with it. And once they lose attachment, they can destroy it and kick and tear it all apart and they don't even care. So there is something with the attitude. And he said, like they tear it apart, you tear and destroy and demolish your attachment too. And he goes on the 5 aggregates. So this I think we're going to read again now and do some more analysis on this one. And the rest of the session is about non-attachment. I have a very nice Zen story, and I have another sutra that is beautiful, and they are both about non-attachment. And I hope we'll have some discussion groups and some meditation, so there's a lot to do. So I'm going to read the sutra again and just emphasize a few things. If during the 2 weeks between our sessions, you had some occasions that you were thinking of attachment and something came to your mind and you want to share stories or experiences and things you had, then please do share. This one. Okay. There is the sutra in English, right? It's the one we read last time. So I'm going to read in Hebrew. Okay. So the sutra starts with somebody is asking Buddha, what is a living being? So I think, I don't know exactly. Let's see in the English. A being. But I have an assumption maybe that he's asking about a sentient being. What is the difference between a being And a sentient being?
Sentient usually means mind, right?
That he has a mind.
That he has a mind.
So is a Buddha a sentient being?
That's the question.
That's the question. And what is the answer?
No. He has a Buddha. No, he's oh, with a face.
He has a mind. Definitely he has a mind. Is he a sentient being?
Yeah. I think so.
No?
If I ask. You said no.
I'm not, maybe the word is no longer.
Sentient being is not just having a mind. Sentient being is having a mind with stains. With stains or defilements or afflictions or obscurations.
Right, we talked about this when we talked about the Buddha nature.
Yes.
It just needs awareness.
Sentient beings, yeah, no, so not only in the Buddhist definition, not in the English terminology, in the Buddhist definition, when you say sentient being, it implies a consciousness. There is a mind there with stains, with defilements, with afflictions, with obscurations. This is how we...
With joy. Yeah.
Also, but also with stains. So Buddha is not a sentient being because he has no more defilements or obscurations or stains in his mind. And I was thinking about it because he asked, what is a living being? And the answer comes from afflictions. He defines the sentient beings with the afflictions. So I'm thinking it's not just what is a living being, but what is a sentient being? Because Buddha is emphasizing how do you approach a sentient being? By his defilements, by his afflictions. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but this is the definition. So when we pray for all sentient beings, the Buddha is not.
He doesn't need our prayers anymore. We don't need to pray for him not to be happy or not to suffer. He's beyond. So we pray for all sentient beings because as long as you're sentient being, you have causes of suffering in your continuum. So we can pray for you. He doesn't have any more causes of suffering in his continuum. So he doesn't need our prayers. We pray for him as a method to generate merit, to expand our minds, to get the blessings of the Guru. So let's read. So באיזה מובן מישהו נקרא חי, sentient being?
רגע, למה we do pray? For the fulfillment, etc.
Yes.
Even the books are dedicated to him.
Yes.
That means that he's still with one of us.
We want his wishes to be fulfilled immediately, and we want him to live long for our benefit. But we never pray, let him be free of suffering. We never saw such a prayer. But also to see his holiness as a Buddha is a choice, right? It's not Shakyamuni Buddha that is declared as a Buddha. With his holiness, he just recently, I don't know, he always says I'm a Buddhist, a simple Buddhist monk, right? And just, I think in the last year, he said, I have a video of him saying he realized emptiness directly. Mm-hmm. He puts his realizations very, very mildly. He doesn't declare on himself as a Buddha. So it's a personal choice to see him as a Buddha.
Directly.
Correct. But Bodhicitta, yes.
We think, yes, he is a Buddha, but he doesn't say so. But it's for me. Maybe for other people it's not. אוקיי. באיזה מובן מישהו נקרא חי? כל חשק, כל תאווה, כל התענגות ביחס לגוף, מי שנצמד אליהם, נאחז בהם, הוא נקרא חי. כל חשק, כל תאווה, כל התענגות ביחס לתחושה. אנחנו עוברים עכשיו את 5 המצרפים, מי שנצמד אליהם, נאחז בהם, הוא נקרא חי. כל חשק, כל תאווה, כל התענגות ביחס קודם התחושה, תפיסה. כל חשק, כל תאווה, כל התענגות ביחס למושגים. composition factors, מי שנצמד אליהם, נאחז בהם, הוא נקרא חי. כל חשק, כל תאווה, כל התענגות ביחס לתודעה, מי שנצמד אליהם, נאחז בהם, הוא נקרא חי. וממש רגע כפי שילדים או ילדות משתעשעים בבתי עפר. בתי עפר, לא ארמונות בחום. So Buddha sees reality differently from us. We are deluded most of the time, right? Because ignorance is there. So we see a sand castle. He sees a house of dirt. So, look, in the opening he says, that Buddha says that החיים הם משחק מעניין, אמר בודה, ממש כמו בניית ארמונות בחול. בטייטל יש לנו ארמונות בחול, אבל בהמשך בודה אומר בתי עפר. But he doesn't see the sand with the deluded aspect of as if he's a castle. He sees a house of dirt, like you build a little something from dirt. So it's not a castle for him. He sees reality differently from us. כפי שילדים או ילדות משתעשעים בבתי עפר, ועוד לא שכחה תאוותם, לא שכח חשקם, לא שכחו רגשותיהם, לא שכח צמאונם, לא שכחה להיטותם, לא שכחה השתוקקותם כלפי בתי עפר אלו, הם דבקים בהם, משתעשעים בהם, מעריכים אותם ונוהגים בהם ברכושנות. אבל כאשר אצל אותם ילדים או ילדות תאוותם שכחה, חשקם שכח, רגשותיהם שכחו, צמאונם שכח, להיטותם שכחה, השתוקקותם שכחה כלפי בתי העפר, הם מפזרים אותם בידיהם ורגליהם, מפרקים אותם, מחריבים אותם ומשביתים את המשחק. ממש כך רדה, פזר, פרק, החרב והשבט את המשחק בגוף. התקדם בהרס ההשתוקקות. הנה להרוס את האובייקט כמושא השתוקקות. פזר, פרק, החרב והשבט את המשחק בתחושה. התקדם בהרס ההשתוקקות. פזר, פרק, החרב והשבט את המשחק בתפיסה. התקדם בהרס ההשתוקקות. פזר, פרק, החרב והשבט את המשחק במושגים. התקדם בהרס ההשתוקקות. פזר, פרק, החרב והשבט את המשחק בתודעה. התקדם בהרס ההשתוקקות, כי הרס ההשתוקקות רדה. המובן. Okay, if it's just the last one in English.
קוראת את זה באספקט של א' יותר קשה.
באספקט של? של מה? כן. כן, מדובר על המנטליטיות, לא על האנשים עצמם. אנחנו מתקדמים בהרס התשוקה. אנחנו מדברים על לצמצם מהאחזות, אנחנו לא מדברים על להרוס את האובייקט עצמו, אנחנו מדברים להרוס את המיינד שמוצא בו משהו שאין בו. את זה אני רוצה. Yeah, the last two sentences. You should smash, scatter, demolish, form, and make it unfit to play. Practice for ending of craving for form. Ending of craving, right? You should smash, scatter, demolish feeling. Make it unfit for play. Practice for the ending of craving for feeling. You should smash, scatter, demolish perception. Make it unfit for play. Practice for the ending of craving for perception. Etc., etc. So he's talking about...
בדיוק.
באנגלית זה יותר ברור?
Perception.
Okay. Discrimination, form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, consciousness. Composition factors is a big bag of every state of mind, every mental factor except feeling and discrimination that got their own aggregate. So it's every state of mind that you have, basically. So if I identify with my wisdom, or identify with my anger, or identify with this kind of mental factors, it's over there.
When we say we do that for all sentient beings, it's not an attachment.
Why should it be an attachment?
Because we want that for all sentient beings.
We're attached to what each either.
Not every aspiration is attachment. Aspiration and attachment are not the same mental factor. It's not that every wish we have, we are automatically deluded. Because many times we have valid aspirations. Attachment has a deluded aspect, which means you lose contact with reality. You exaggerate some aspects of the object and the process, you ignore others, and then you live in your own mind, in your own fabrication, in your own creation. Not every aspiration is attached. Like I can have aspiration for Buddhahood because I really want to free others from suffering. I understand the mechanism of self-created suffering. I understand how cultivating the mind can help. I can see how a trained teacher that is more advanced than me can help me, and I want to do the same for others. There's no delusion. But if I think I want Buddhahood so everybody will respect me, and I will be in a kind of status and stuff, then maybe I can put attachment, but then attachment is for the respect, not for helping others, right? I put other things inside, but not every aspiration is attachment. So I wanted to give you a few notes on this sutra. First, pay attention that the language is violent, right? It took you to what we do in Gaza, right? Smash, scatter, demolish, parek, hashbet, pazer, hachrev. The language is militant, right? Is violent. But we need to see wrathful. But we need
can be with a lot of compassion.
Yes, and we need to see beyond. When I say destroy craving, what I'm basically saying is cultivate non-attachment, which is a virtuous mental factor that goes together with each and every beneficial state. Cultivate wisdom. Understand the emptiness of the object of craving, so you will not see it in a deluded way. Open heart, balanced mind. So the language is very violent, as if against the affliction, but the result of what we are trying to do is very soft, is very connected to reality, is very beneficial, is very balanced, is very, very open-hearted. So don't be fooled by the language thinking that Buddha is taking us for some violent action. He just says there's a lot of potential of suffering in craving, so destroy that craving by cultivating wisdom, by cultivating compassion, by cultivating open heart, equanimity. Okay, so this we need to pay attention.
So usually we are angry about external factors, like usually someone does something and we are angry, why are you doing like that, you're hurting me, and so forth. And then we are angry and we are causing ourselves to suffer. And here, in a way, that maybe teaches us to, if we need to be angry about something, be angry about your internal factors. Usually we like the internal factors because of suffering. Now it shows us that we should actually be angry about them and see them as not something positive, but something negative.
Yeah.
You're angry about something, you want to destroy something, and you see it, you should see it as something negative, but those don't want to destroy it.
Yeah. So I'm going to repeat for the Zoomies. Ben is saying that usually we are very accustomed to look outside, and we get angry about many, many factors outside. But the anger is mine, is in my own continuum. And Buddha here is teaching us to really switch the way we look. Instead of looking outside, look inside. Meet your own anger, meet your own real creator of problems. And then meet them in such a way that if you want to transform, you need to look inside and meet all these things, right? Not to direct your anger outside. I don't know if it's to really direct the anger inside, because I don't want to meet my afflictions with anger, but at least be impatient with their presence. Shantideva in chapter 5, because if you go with anger inside, it's not going to be beneficial.
Not sure.
You're not sure.
And
This
not,
will
not
be a
on
discussion.
yourself.
On your afflictions, yeah, still. That's a question. Let's keep it for the discussion group.
The life of the tension in our fiction. For me, it was very clear. It's very easy to do that. Projection.
Yeah. We look inside, but we're gonna do soon a discussion group, and let's discuss this question: should we meet our anger with anger? Is it beneficial or not? That's I think a very deep discussion, and not easy to know. You know, he goes 5 aggregates one by one: form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness. And feeling and discrimination are mental factors, just like the other 49 that got one bag of compositional factors. But feeling and discrimination, they are outside. And many times they discuss why feeling and discrimination are outside. There are many reasons. One of them is that feeling is a cause of conflict and dispute among lay people because we fight over resources. Because if this makes me make a pleasant feeling for me, I like the sound and I want to have it, but it's not mine, so we can have a conflict. So feeling is associated many times with pleasures or with things we want to own. So if we are lay people and we have property, then we can fight over property, over feeling. Discrimination, they say it's a source of dispute and conflict among the Sangha, among the people who are committed to the path, because they have attachment to their views. And then they start to fight among views. That's why you have split in the Sangha and many traditions and many schools and many sub-schools and nobody except the other. And I thought of it that today we can really see that, how attachment to your views creates split and conflict, right? We cannot bear somebody who thinks different from us. So this is also rooted in attachment. Attachment to my views is like aversion to somebody else who has different views, right? So this is the same two sides of the, like attachment to me is aversion. We discussed it with this weekend with TechChalk. Last weekend, TechChalk was leading a weekend on transforming the mind. And we had discussions and somebody said, my father is supporting Bibi. And suddenly he cannot see anything good in his father. And we had a little as if this is what attachment does, right? Takes one thing or aversion and colors everything and you don't see the whole person. And then we discussed a bit and he said after a while, he said, oh, my father is a great person. And he's a great father and I like this and I like that. But when attachment comes because he has a different view, then it colors everything and aversion goes there very strong and rejection and we can see it. So suddenly when I read it, I said, we just feel it now among ourselves. So, yeah.
The problem, of course, is not with the father. The problem is with the son that believes his views.
Yes.
Feeling.
Yes. Attachment to his views, always.
Maybe we'll find out that Bibi is a great Buddhist because it's
causing us to practice. The harder the circumstances outside, the more practice we need. Huh? Yeah. Do you want a little Zen story?
Sure.
Before the break? Okay. Then a little Zen story and then now we start to touch we're going to start to touch non-attachment. Okay, I'm going to go quite quick and then in the discussion group, we're going to process everything. So this Zen story is from Buddhism in Israel. That every once in a while they publish Zen stories, and this one is even called non-attachment. So I really thought it's for us. So I'm going to read it in Hebrew and then give you a summary in English, and then we're going to discuss it a bit. בשנת 33, נפטר אב מנזר A.A. קיטאנו גמפו, בגיל 92. הוא הקדיש את חייו לניסיון לא להיאחז בדבר. כפושט יד נודד בן 20, הוא פגש נוסע שישן טבק. הם הלכו ביחד בדרך היורדת מההר, ועצרו לנוח תחת עץ. ההלך הציע לקיטאנו לעשן, ומאחר שהיה רעב מאוד, הוא נענה להצעה. כמה נעים הוא העישון, העיר. ההלך נתן לו טבק ומקטרת נוספת שהייתה לו, והם נפרדו והלכו כל אחד לדרכו. חשב קיטאנו, דברים נעימים כאלה עלולים להפריע לאימון במדיטציה. לפני שהלך רחוק מדי עם זה, מוטב שאפסיק כבר עכשיו. וכך זרק את ציוד העישון. כשהיה בן 23 הוא למד ייג'ינג, התורה העמוקה ביותר של היקום. היה חורף באותו הזמן והוא נזקק לבגדים חמים. הוא כתב למורה שלו שגר מרחק מאות מילים משם, וסיפר לו במכתב על מה הוא צריך. את המכתב נתן לנוסע כדי שיעביר אותו. כמעט כל החורף חלף ותשובה לא הגיעה, גם לא בגדים. לכן פנה קיטנו לטכניקת ראיית הנולד של האיג'ין, כדי לקבוע אם אכן הגיע המכתב ליעדו. הוא מצא שלא. במכתב שהגיע מהמורה שלו לאחר מכן לא הוזכרו בגדים כלל וכלל. אם אני מצליח לקבוע קביעות מדויקות כל כך עם האיג'ין, אני עלול לזנוח את המדיטציה שלי, חשב קיטנו. לכן ויתר על הלימוד הנהדר ולעולם לא פנה עוד להיעזר בו. כשהיה בן 28 הוא למד קליגרפיה סינית ושירה. הוא נעשה מיומן כל כך באומנויות אלה שהמורה שלו שיבח והילל אותו. קיטנו חשב, אם לא אפסיק עכשיו, אהיה משורר ולא מורה זן. וכך לא כתב עוד שירה.
אאוץ'.
אאוץ'.
טוב, הם מזכירים מלא דברים.
אז רגע, אני אעשה באנגלית ואז... Easy the end. That's the end. So it's about an abbot of a monastery that died at the age of 92, but ever since he was very young, he was always trying not to be attached to anything. So when he was 20 and he was like a beggar walking around, he found somebody walks in the same path that was smoking tobacco, and they walked about a while together, and he offered him a pipe and tobacco, and they smoked together, and he said to himself, oh, it's very pleasant to smoke. So this guy gave him as a present a little pipe and tobacco, but Kitano, that's the name, he thought to himself that pleasant things may disturb practicing meditation. I should stop it now before I'll get too attached to this. So he threw away the smoking things. Then he studied, when he was 23, he studied Yijing. Yijing is a very deep theoretical explanation about understanding the universe. There's a big book and some charts, and you can ask questions about the future and find the answers there. And it was winter, it was very, very cold, so he wrote a letter to his teacher asking for warm clothes. And he was waiting and waiting and waiting, and the winter almost passes, and he never got the clothes. So he went to this book of Yijing, and he was checking because he knew, he was so skilled with that he had clairvoyance. So he was checking with the book and asking, did my letter reach my teacher? And he found out that no, the letter did not reach the teacher. And indeed, in the letter that got from the teacher back, there was no mention of clothes, phone clothes. And then he said to himself, if I am getting so precise with my Yijing skills, I may neglect my meditation practice. And then he gave it up, this Yijing teachings, and he never used it again. And when he was 28, he learned Chinese calligraphy and poetry. And he became, again, so skilled that his teacher was praising him and saying good things about him. Then Kitano thought, if I will not stop now, I will become a poet and not a Zen teacher, and then he never wrote it. What do you think about this story? Yes. Yes, please. And now I'm stressed. And now wait, don't start because I need to do something here. Yes, to function F1?
No.
But it doesn't mute me. No.
So I wanted to say that according to this story, non-attachment seems a synonym, like another synonym for asceticism. That's what it seems to me. So I wonder, like, that's what it seems to me. And according to the Buddhist worldview, I think that the Buddha has rejected asceticism.
Mhm.
But here it seems
It seems like
it's like a synonym for asceticism.
Okay.
סקפנות. Denying.
זה צדפנות וזה גם
אה,
פנאטי.
אה,
משהו מאוד פנאטי לא לאחד הזה שהוא...
שמעתם את, נעמי, שמעת את שמואל ברור? כן? אז הוא אומר שזה נראה לו מהסיפור, he says that non-attachment seems like asceticism, like סקפנות, and as far as he knows, Buddhism is not encouraging this path. What do you think?
I think that the focus is I think
צריכה ללחוץ על משהו?
the focus is not on not having pleasure, but it's like focusing in what you want to develop. And you can have also a pleasure and enjoyment, you know, being a Zen or learning Zen.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody else? More ideas? Yeah.
Yeah, in a way, I agree with what you said, Jenny.
Susie.
What Susie said. The way I see it is that he's very focused on his goal. For example, even like in layperson's terms, if someone is a very big athlete or wants to be like top in the Olympiad, then he will give up many things, right? Like, you know, if you want to be a top NBA player, then you will give up partying every day, you'll give up drinking, you give up eating the wrong times, you give up many things. For us, you'd say, okay, this is asceticism. What is this? This is not a life, this is not happiness, this is not anything. But this is, he's being, or he or she, being very focused on a goal. And this person, it seems that he has very high, what you'd call in Buddhist terms, renunciation. He totally gives up on the worldly affairs and he solely focused on being Buddha, you know, getting high realizations, being really happy.
Yeah.
And this is only focus, so everything else is, okay, this is not what I want, this is not what I want, I want to only focus on that. So I wouldn't call that necessarily asceticism. It is similar. You know.
And maybe those attachments to tobacco or something like that, at the end, it's like producing suffering.
Yes.
If
It's addiction.
Yeah.
That's called addiction.
Yeah, it's very interesting, because when I read this story at first, I also had this reaction, he gives up all the pleasures in life. But look at us, we don't give up any pleasure. Does it take us very far? Does it take us very far? Like being this monkey mind, every temptation that comes, let's follow, let's try, let's stick to it.
There on the table, you know.
Yeah. I think there is something very interesting in this story because the first example about smoking, this is really sensory pleasures. And this he experienced once and he says this is temptation. Like he sees the pleasurable aspect and he says, I don't see any benefit of it. As if his non-attachment state of mind is very clear. Because you remember, non-attachment, we say it's not being detached, being cold, being closed, being adish or menukar. It's about not craving for more, not being attached, like the mind is not narrow, and it's really involved with wisdom. Non-attachment is just seeing the thing as it is. So he sees smoking as it is. He says, yes, this is very pleasurable. I see the trap in it. I quit. And the rest, two things, it's the I Ching theory and calligraphy and poetry. He puts all of his heart into that because he's getting very high skills in both. It's not that he's really not even touching. He's experiencing it with full heart and full energy. To get to the level of clairvoyance, you need to know your way. To get praises from your teacher of calligraphy or poetry, it means he practiced a lot. So he was really experiencing life and experiencing what he thought would be beneficial. And at one point, it's really like being focused. Do I want this path or that path? And he gave up one path to go to a different one, which I think, don't we all do that every once in a while? Don't we all experience something and say, okay, now I choose to drop this and to put my energy into something else, and I choose my path? And this
Absolutely.
is absolutely.
And the opposite also. I'm not going to give up that
For something else.
for something else.
Yeah. So I think this non-attachment state of mind, I think it's really beautiful because you have a focus of what you want. It's not that he's avoiding life. He's experiencing full-heartedly, but then he's choosing. And I think we all do that every once in a while. No, we are all in the Dharma. We're putting some different points of view or different choices before, and now we chose a different path. And I think it's interesting to see. How do we see non-attachment? How do we see our choices? How do we see temptations outside as a source of happiness or not? Maybe he's realizing that this is not a source of happiness to smoke or to do calligraphy. Not the happiness that he's looking for, that comes from cultivation of the mind, even though I think there are similarities in some ways. But so, yes, Naomi.
אני זוכרת שלבודה היו שנים שהוא היה בסגפנות מאוד מאוד גדולה, הוא הגיע לממדים שהוא היה ממש רזה בצורה קיצונית.
נכון.
אחרי זה הוא חזר להיות בדרך האמצע, אבל הוא קודם הלך לקצה הזה ואחר כך...
נכון, הוא מצא שזה לא מועיל באמת. נכון, Buddha has some ascetic life, I think 5 years, no? He was 6 only on the asceticism. Yeah, he used to live, the descriptions in the text are gorgeous. It's so nice. He used to live on 1 grain of rice a day. And then when he was cold, he used to warm himself. But when he used to do like that, his skin was falling apart because he was so unnourished. And the spine was standing out of his back like a necklace. Like there are descriptions, full descriptions of how far he went with his view. And he realized that he lost mental capacity because of not giving enough support for the body. And he said, this is not the way to get to full cultivation of the mind, to freedom. This is not the path. So this is true. He was trying that because this was a method that was well accepted in his time. He tried it and he said, no, that's not the way. So this is true. What we started the discussion with, he was never encouraging this path. We need to check if we give up something because of non-attachment, which is not fear or running away or being stressed. It's a very open, virtuous state of mind. If I give up something out of non-attachment, is it going towards asceticism or not? We can think of it while we eat banana cake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone say that? I want to share something because I'll probably forget.
Do you want
No,
to?
I'll talk about it.
Okay, talk loud. Shout.
איפה שקשה לי, where it's difficult for me, is that what it's saying basically is to not be masochistic, right? That's the goal. Not to hurt ourselves, not to hurt our lives, our happiness. But the way to not be masochistic is to deny things that we're attracted to, which on the face of it give us pleasure, whether it's calligraphy or smoking or whatever it is. And so intuitively we want to do those things. And some of them are even like calligraphy or like aging, are not negative. So how do we say I'm not going to do the positive things because they're masochistic?
I think that it's like an issue of choice. For example, I'm sure that Nitzan wants to be with the child the whole time, yeah? But he had to work and he had to choose, go for work and he's not a masochist person when he leaves the baby, okay? he choose, we're going to work.
Even though he's attached to the baby.
I think that he's very because I experienced that too. And you have to choose where do you want to focus, your energy, your time in what brings, more pleasure at the end. It's like studying, 5 years for a career. Who wants to do that? But you are focused on what you want to get. And the Zen is the same, I think.
So Randy, I just review for the Zoomies. Randy, I'll do it in Hebrew because everything was in English. Randy דפק פה פרובוקציה, שאומר, לי נראה שמה שאומרים פה זה שאני לא רוצה להיות מזוכיסט, אני לא רוצה לגרום סבל לעצמי, אז בשביל לא לעשות את זה אני צריך to deny, ממש, איך אומרים to deny בעברית? כאילו להתכחש לדברים שיכולים לגרום לי אושר. זאת אומרת, המשוואה היא כאן, דברים שאני חושב שגורמים לי אושר,
שהם לא מזיקים.
כן, כמו קליגרפיה ודברים זה, שיכולים לגרום לי אושר, do I need to deny them if I want to be non-attached? וסוזי ענתה לו שזה בסופו של דבר יושב על בחירה, אבל אנחנו בוחרים איפה אנחנו רוצים לשים את האנרגיה ומה מיטיב ומה לא. שאלה גדולה, בוא נחשוב עליה בזמן ההפסקה, אני אחשוב עליה גם, ונפתח עם זה את הסשן השני. Think of it and we're gonna discuss it after the break.
After the break I have something.
And Sigal has something, we'll open with Sigal. So we'll take 20 minutes break and we'll be back. אצלי או אצלך?
לא ראית את זה?
לא.
למעלה בעצם.
Look at the smile on Gide's face. It's like he has the trophy and everybody has attachment and a little envy. Yes.
Attachment, craving, everything.
Love also.
יש לי גם את זה של המתי.
הנה, עכשיו נעשה. נכון. So we are heading back. We are heading back and we start with relating to the question we had before the break. If we try to avoid suffering and we deny things that seems to bring happiness, then we don't see how it works together, right? This was the question, Randy? Yeah, right? We don't want to have suffering. We don't want to be masochistic. But we deny things like calligraphy and poetry that seems to be very pleasurable. Then how does it go together? And Sigal wanted to say something.
I think I remember what I wanted to say.
I do hope so. I do hope so, but could you say it over there so they can listen to you?
Well, first I have a migraine, so I have half brain. I had a few things. First, I think that this sutra is very inspiring to me, and it's a Zen story. It has some kind of extreme points, but it's very inspiring because to see really a person that his aim is, his focus is to be great in meditation and to be great in as a Zen teacher, master, saying that. So this is like extreme example how he already knows. It's very okay. When I had a retreat of Mahamudra, we always talked about this to cut. to erase all thoughts and so again, I'm sorry, I'm not clear. So he already from the beginning he had just this thought of this can cause me attachment, so right away I will throw it. Any samsaric not events, pleasures like calligraphy or smoking, I won't even start with this. So it's very inspiring, like I said. Saying that, I know let's say about Thich Nhat Hanh, that he's very, right, maybe he's a Buddha even. And he was a master in calligraphy, right? So I think if there is a teacher that will say, a master that will tell this guy that, what was his name in the story? Kitano. Will tell him, listen, if you do calligraphy, but it could be a type of meditation, and actually you can even be even better or master that. So you would practice calligraphy, maybe. So, and what else in personal, when I think about it, is for me, as a personal, I remember a few years ago, I had a conversation with Yonten about renunciation. And I remember that I talked to friends, we had a Sangha then, and I said, I don't go to the movies. It was like a point in my life that I really wanted to master the Buddhism and the path. So I didn't read like really beautiful poetry, or I didn't go to the movies. I remember once said, how can you give up on all this culture? And I remember when I had a talk to Yonten about it, she gave me this advice: try to protect yourself, try to purify your mind, not to have distraction. So I really relate to it, to the story, how you give up on all this, something that can take you from the path. Because if the path is really to get enlightenment, so everything could interfere. I mean, and everything cannot, maybe. It all depends on his choices. Even clear what I said? So yeah, that's it. Yeah, there is an element of choice.
יעל, את מיוט.
נכון, עכשיו יותר טוב? כי אני משתיקה כשמדברים לרמקול ההוא. We don't want to suffer, yet we avoid things that seems very meaningful and maybe giving rise to a lot of happiness. Remember that we said that non-attachment is a state of mind that says attached to nothing, connected to everything. So many things can bring me happiness. I choose which one. And remember that I think he was not doing his choices out of a very tight state of mind, because he engaged in such a level that he gained some mastery. And then he said, okay, I choose. Is this going to give me the happiness I want, or I choose other actions that will give me the happiness I want? Many different types of happiness, many different types of goals. And this is true that Thich Nhat Hanh mastered the calligraphy and he chose to give it up. So there is not necessarily one answer for everyone. Just pay attention when you observe your life, your state of mind, your choices, how much we crave for happiness, how much we cling into happiness, how much we do the choices out of a very narrow state of mind, really wishing for this happiness and really being afraid to let go of some things. This is interesting to investigate.
Our thoughts are very absolutist, right? So we think that because I'm enjoying now, I will always enjoy, and because I'm enjoying calligraphy, it will give me all my happiness.
Yeah.
And that's
This is attachment.
Yeah.
Always, everything. These are two aspects of exaggeration. This will always give me the same feeling I have now, and this will fulfill everything I need. So two elements of exaggeration, this is attachment state of.
You want to make a list of words of attachment?
This can be nice. Okay, so let's go for really wanted to say something, and then we go for a little group discussion, because I really want us to do that, and we do this as well. You want to go there?
This week I had a very bad week, and one of the reasons that I found it is that I didn't make any art this week. I couldn't. I mean, the studios was it wasn't. I couldn't do it, and I know that when I do it, I don't feel that miserable.
Mm.
When I do it, I'm less miserable. So it's like attachment to the art, maybe, yeah, or to the feeling that the art gives me, and the satisfaction or the.
Doesn't have to be attachment.
No, I'm just because he talked about calligraphy and
Yeah.
yeah, but it's yeah, things that help me get it out of my.
That's it.
mind.
If it helps you and it's a creation process and you are fully absorbed and it's beneficial for your mind, I'm not sure it's attachment. Huh? Don't think of any joy or aspiration as attachment. We need to check if there is delusion there. If there is no delusion, but you feel that with this your mind expands and then you can do other stuff. I don't see any problem.
Can I say something also?
Ask us, you can.
I find that for me, actually, it doesn't work. What does it? If I decide that something is not beneficial, but for example, I'm praying, I don't know, I like watching movies. I just decide that it's not healthy and it's not helping me to reach enlightenment, and then I just drop it. It doesn't work. And I think maybe for some of us, it's also not working. And the reason for that is that to really drop it, we should understand why it's related to a level of understanding, why it's not so good, yeah, and understanding why is the path to enlightenment is better, yeah. So, and until there is this knowledge, I think it's normal that we just don't drop all things. And another aspect is also related maybe to art. If it's like with food and Buddha, if at this present state of our mind, if we need something to keep our mind healthy, then it's like food for the mind. So we just eat it. We don't just eat nothing. And maybe as our level of understanding grows, we'll be less dependent on such things. But for now,
it's like going to the movie is attached.
יעל, אתה מיוט.
It depends on the mental attitude, not just the actions that we can choose. Don't think that everything that gives you joy is attachment and is bad. Check if there are aspects like that of always and everything and only that, and this is the key for my happiness, and check your state of mind. Let's go for like 15-20 minutes of group discussion. What can we check? First question is the question that came about from the discussion with Ben. Do we need to address our afflictions with anger? Like if I meet, remember we said that usually we are very accustomed to anger towards an external object. And now Buddha is saying, try to look inside to meet your own enemies, your own anger. And Ben said, and meet them with anger. And I said, maybe we need to put a question mark on that. And he said, I think it's like that. So let's check, do we need to meet our afflictions with anger? First question. Second question, maybe you can make a list of phrases like Gidi said, something that can reflect a deluded state of mind of attachment, like everything, like always, these kind of things. You can think what can help you to reduce your attachment. It doesn't mean you need to stop from daily activities. It's when you're attached to something, what can reduce your attachment? We can say there are two options, right? Either the disadvantages of attachment or analyzing the object in such a way that is not no more finding an object to play with. Try both actions. Do I need to meet my afflictions with anger? Phrases that can indicate something that is deluded with attachment, and how can I reduce attachment in daily life? Or what causes me to be attached and how can I address it? Okay, so we'll take 15 minutes. You can go for small groups of 2, 3, and then we can discuss a bit. There's something in the chat. איך נרשמים על הקורס של בן? אני אעביר לך בוואטסאפ כל הפרטים. נעמי ועופרי, אתם רוצים לעשות דיון? תודה. הגענו לסוף המפגש, אז אני מקווה שהדיונים, sorry, it takes me time. It's time to end, so I hope the discussions were fruitful and maybe stimulating you for keep on thinking and reflecting and investigating. That there's no chance that we're going to have all the answers in such short discussions, but if you come out of it with a question mark, that's a big benefit. Because the more we are curious, the more things are not clear, the more we investigate, the more it's like a doubt, but a very efficient doubt that pushes us in to explore, to investigate, to learn. It's a very beneficial way to progress. So I really hope you got some question marks. I invite you to take these things and explore the 2 weeks in their light. Check in the coming 2 weeks, when do you feel attachment? When do you feel non-attachment? When you are motivated by this or by that, and how does it feel? It's supposed to feel like a very narrow perspective versus something very vast and relaxed and open. Like the state of mind is very, very different. Check, and if you have examples and stories, you are more than welcome to bring them here. And we're gonna dedicate now. Yeah. So let's pull our minds together a bit. And take a few minutes of focusing on the breath, just to really focus the mind. You can choose the abdomens, you can choose the chest, you can choose the opening of the nose, the nostrils, whatever object you're accustomed to. Put your attention on the breath for a while. And take this space for letting everything we did today to sink in and see what comes in your mind. Just digest it slowly. And even with the dedication, the movement is in and out. we think of all the merit we accumulated today, all the positive potential, the positive energy, everything we accumulated by committing to the process and putting effort and time into coming here and working on our skills of looking inside, trying to be more clear with observing different states of mind. And all these efforts and good intention created lots of effect on our minds. This is a cause for happiness. And we take this cause of happiness and we offer it to others, because this is what we do in dedication. We take our merit, our causes of happiness, and we offer it to others. So it's always the movement is in and out, from my continuum to others. Because we started with may every sentient being be happy and have happiness and its causes. So we give away the causes for happiness, our merit. And we may think of dedicating our merits to every sentient being who needs it, wounded in body and mind, suffers from different causes. Everybody that needs happiness, everybody that we want him to be free of suffering, we offer our merit to him. May their journey be short and easy, and they will swiftly find good and conducive rebirth, being reborn next to the path, finding a teacher, having Dharma friends. All of these are conditions for happiness in this life and the next lives. May we always have the generosity of offering our merit to each and every sentient beings who need support. We can finish with the mantra of Shenrezig. That is the mantra of compassion. And we can think of how much we wish others to be free of suffering while we join the mantra if we want. And add your own personal dedication or whoever you want, as vast as you can. Thank you very much.